Hi everyone, it's Amelia Lee here, the Undercover Architect. I'll have to apologise first for the lighting in here. I'm actually hiding out in our bedroom because it's school holidays and I have little people charging around my house. But I wanted to share some quick tips about kitchen design and some dimensions that might help you. I seem to be spending a lot more time in my kitchen at the moment, given it's school holidays, and just thought it would be useful to you to sort of know some of the best dimensions to use for your kitchen. Okay, so my personal preference is for family kitchens to not do U-shaped kitchens. I just find that they end up being traps for family movement. Generally, family kitchens are pretty busy places, especially at meal times and cooking and preparation. And I find that U kitchens are just really inefficient to use, and they become difficult kind of places to work in. And we have a U-shaped kitchen in this house, and it drives me mental because everything is sort of a long distance from each other. You've got the corners that just become traps for all the bits and pieces, the toaster and the kettle, and just junk. And it never seems to work really well. So my recommendation for family kitchens is to do a galley with an island or an L shape with an island, so that you can get movement in and out of your kitchen, and it's not always about going in and just getting trapped. Okay, in terms of the set out of that, I always like to have at least 1100 between the bench and the island bench, in terms of that gap in between. 1200 is good. I'd never go bigger than 1200, and I'd never go less than 1050 millimeters. Okay, so if you're thinking about it, you've generally got units opposite each other, you're opening cupboard doors and things like that. If it gets too close, you can't sort of have somebody standing there, somebody else opening a cupboard door. You can't really open a dishwasher and open another cupboard door on the opposite side and not have things bash into each other. So that's why that 1100 to 1200 is a good dimension. In terms of heights, I like to do between 900 and 930 millimeters for kitchen benchtop heights, and then for the overhead cupboards I put them another 600 above. The overhead cupboard height actually ends up generally being dictated by your range hood, because your range hood will have a required dimension for its sucking distance, so it will have a minimum and a maximum dimension for how far it can actually suck the stuff that it's supposed to be collecting. But 600 millimeters is good, and of course your overhead cupboards are generally shallower than your below bench cupboards, so that's so that you can lean forward over your bench and not bash your head. So standard joinery depths is 600 for below bench cupboards, and then above is 300. So that sort of ends up being the set out. One more thing that I will mention is that below bench, as I said, below bench cupboards are 600 millimeters deep, but your fridge recess generally needs to be deeper. So that's why you see in a lot of really cheap kitchens that they've just done it all at 600 deep, and then the fridge recess is done at 600 deep as well, and the fridge always sits proud of the joinery. So what I like to do is either locate the fridge away from where the main joinery is, so it goes in its own little recess, so it's not needing to, you can then size it as you need to, or I pack out the joinery 200 off the wall, and I do that for the below bench cupboard, so then I get a nice deep bench top, and I get the fridge recess being at the right depth, so the fridge sits flush in it, and then the joinery cupboards can be still standard size. They're still 600, but they're packed 200 off the wall, and then you get that all working. Okay, so those are just a few dimensions for you for kitchens. If there's anything else that you have any questions about, just pop them in the comments below. Happy to help. Dimensions become really critical in terms of the functionality for kitchens, and there's a few standard ones that always work, and that can be helpful for you when you're setting yours out. All right, I'll speak to you later. Have a good night. Bye.